It begins quietly, not as thunder, not as punishment, but as a silent rearranging of everything you thought was permanent. You wake one morning and the world feels slightly off balance. The plans you built, the dreams you carried, the people you counted on, all of them start to fade like distant echoes. You try to hold on. You reach out with desperate hands, clinging to the edges of what's slipping away. But the tighter you grasp, the faster it falls apart. And beneath all that effort, something ancient inside you whispers, "Let go." You don't want to hear it, because letting go feels like dying. And in a way, it is. It's the death of the version of you that believed control could save you. You keep asking, why now? Why me? But the universe doesn't answer in words, it answers in silence. It removes what no longer aligns, even when you still love it, even when you still need it to feel whole. There's a sound that comes with loss, not loud, not violent, just a deep, low hum beneath the noise of living. You feel it vibrating in your chest. It's the frequency of everything collapsing, so something truer can emerge. You call it chaos, but to the universe, it's choreography. You fall to your knees, not out of weakness, but out of exhaustion. And in that collapse, you hear it again, the golden whisper that cuts through the noise. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Those words settle into you like light finding a crack in stone. They don't erase the pain, they sanctify it. They remind you that nothing real is ever lost. You breathe for the first time without expectation. And in that single breath, something shifts. Not in the world outside, but in the silent universe unfolding within your chest. The chaos hasn't disappeared, the losses still echo. But now you see them differently, not as evidence of cruelty, but as signs that the universe is clearing the path. You are not falling apart. You are falling into alignment. And that realization, fragile, luminous, is the first pulse of rebirth. Days pass, maybe weeks. Time starts to lose its edges, like water spilling out of a broken glass. You wake, you breathe, you move, but everything feels softer, slower, suspended. This is what the silence after the storm feels like. It isn't peace yet. It's the waiting between heartbeats. You keep asking if the universe is done taking. But in the stillness, the answer is not yes or no. It's simply, listen. At first, you resist the quiet. You reach for distractions, for noise, for anything that reminds you that you still exist. But one by one, even those fall away. What's left is just you, raw, unguarded, stripped of identity and story. You sit there, surrounded by nothing, and for the first time in your life, you don't try to fix it. The silence starts to take on texture. It hums, breathes, even speaks in its own rhythm. You begin to sense that this emptiness isn't the absence of life. It's life before the noise, Grief becomes a teacher. It sits beside you like an old friend, patient and quiet. It doesn't ask you to move on. It just asks you to be still. You start noticing small miracles in the ordinary. The way sunlight lands differently on the wall. The way the air feels before it rains. The warmth in your chest when you remember something beautiful without collapsing into sorrow. Every moment feels slower now, deliberate, sacred. You realize you've entered a kind of spiritual quarantine, a sacred pause where your soul is rebuilding in silence. The mind still searches for meaning, but the soul doesn't need answers. It only needs space. And now, finally, you have space. You breathe not to escape, but to arrive. Every inhale feels like a prayer you never knew how to say. Every exhale is another layer of resistance falling away. In that stillness, something ancient begins to stir within you. A soft vibration, the memory of trust. It whispers through the golden quiet, greater than, stop fighting what's leaving. It's not the end. It's the clearing. You realize that all the things you lost were never yours to begin with. They were assignments. They served their season. They shaped your edges. And when their purpose was complete, the universe reclaimed them, so you could return to yourself. This pause, this holy emptiness, isn't punishment. It's preparation. You are being emptied, so that something vast and luminous can take its place. And maybe that's what grace really is. Not the presence of perfection, but the absence of resistance. You look up one morning and something inside you feels lighter. The grief hasn't gone, but it's no longer heavy. It's become part of your breath, integrated, softened, understood. The world around you hasn't changed, but you have. You no longer need to control what comes or goes. You trust the rhythm of the unfolding. The same universe that took everything is now quietly rearranging what remains into something new. You don't know what it will look like yet, but for the first time, that not knowing feels beautiful. You sit in the golden stillness, and in the deepest quiet, you hear it again. Greater than, when you stop fighting, the universe begins to move, and you understand. You were never meant to chase the light. You were meant to become it. When the universe takes everything away, it's preparing you. It doesn't happen suddenly. The rebuilding begins so quietly that at first, you don't even notice. One morning, the air feels different, clearer somehow, like it's no longer carrying the weight of your old life. You look around, and the same world that once felt like a cage now feels like a field waiting for light. You haven't moved on. You've moved through, and in doing so, you've become someone new. At first, it's just small things. A flicker of gratitude in the middle of an ordinary moment. A smile that doesn't need a reason. A calm that no longer depends on certainty. You realize that peace isn't something you reach for. It's something that grows quietly inside the space where pain used to live. The universe never took from you to punish you. It cleared what was blocking your light. And now you can finally see what was always underneath. The essence that survived every ending. You start rebuilding, but this time differently. Not from ambition or fear, but from alignment. You no longer chase. You allow. You no longer force. You flow. The plans you make are softer now, flexible, fluid. You trust that what's meant for you will find its way in divine timing. You move with the rhythm of something greater than your own will, a rhythm that hums like golden light through every breath you take. The new life doesn't come from effort. It comes from surrender. Those words echo through you. They sound less like a lesson now, and more like a memory. As if some part of you always knew this truth, but needed the collapse to remember it. You stop trying to understand how everything fits. Instead, you begin to honor the mystery. Every unanswered question becomes a space for grace to enter. Every silence becomes an invitation to listen deeper. And as you move through your days, the signs start to return. Not in the dramatic ways you once hoped for, but in whispers. A song that finds you at the right moment. A stranger's smile that feels like recognition. A dream that carries peace instead of fear. You begin to see the pattern. How loss and creation have always been woven together. How every ending carved a path for the next beginning. And how the universe never truly takes, it transforms. The light inside you is different now. It doesn't burn with intensity. It glows with truth. You've stopped reaching outward for meaning, because meaning has begun to bloom from within. You walk slower now, but not because you're weary. It's because you've learned reverence for time, for stillness, for presence. You understand that nothing needs to be rushed, and nothing real can be lost. The same stillness that once terrified you now feels sacred. You breathe into it. You let it expand through your chest, through your hands, through your gaze. The silence has become your teacher, your sanctuary, your home. What you lost was never your foundation. It was the scaffolding that helped you rise. You smile, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally understand perfection was never the goal. Peace is, presence is, becoming is. You are not who you were before the storm, and that is the gift. The collapse was never destruction. It was initiation. The ashes were never an ending. They were the soil for your rebirth. The universe didn't take everything away to break you. It did it to bring you home. And as you stand in the quiet after everything has changed, you feel something move inside you. The soft pulse of life beginning again. The world opens itself to you, not as it was, but as it's meant to be. Every step you take is a prayer. Every breath is an offering. You are the light returning. You are the silence becoming sound. You are the evidence that even after loss, the universe always rebuilds. Through you. You are ready now. Go and let your light unfold.